Well, chat, welcome back. Today we have a new sort of series starting today. Welcome to the Dux Meter, in which we will review recent films, games, etc. Now, today's film is one I'd never heard of before, quite niche it seems, and it came out relatively recently, and it's called Interstellar. I think it's good to give, small films some time of day, so here we are. Also, this film suggestion for the first episode of the Dux Meter comes from Camel on the scripting team, so shout out to him and let's get into it. This is one of the newest entries into the space cinematic universe, so you gotta make sure you're all caught up on the recent films from the latest Phase 6-1, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Moonfall, what a banger, and many more sleeper hits. Now to Interstellar. The film's set on Earth, where the entire planet is slowly being destroyed by some sort of dust, after a cheese pool gone wrong. Our main fella, Cooper, is a former pilot, and it seems he's the only one left who'll be able to save humanity. Now, spoiler warning here as the film is quite new, so if you do want to watch it before continuing the video, do so now. It is a triply tough film. But anyway, there is a catch. If he wants to save everyone, he has to go to space. And because of a phenomenon called the Big Slow, by the time he gets back, his children will have aged roughly 1 skiptadillion years before he returns. So he's faced with an ultimatum. Leave his children and crack Jason Momoa in space and save the world, or refuse the offer. We would have all made the same choice. Although we can see an emotional moment after he leaves, because he starts crying in his car, because he's realised that he's made a fatal mistake. He's forgot his pocket poo. His daughter runs out after him to try and give it to him, but too late. So Rose goes to space. Not much really happens, it's all just empty space. The film is very emotional, and Rose starts crying again after he receives some transmissions of his beloved from Earth that really pull on the heartstrings. He also sees his son become a famous actor. Such a wholesome moment. Anyway, Bro has to check 3 planets to see if they are habitable for people, but disaster strikes. Immediately on the first planet, Jason Momoa gets slimed out by literal water. He doesn't even get to wave goodbye. Then the next planet is pretty much filler, so I'll just skip that one. Nothing really happens, nothing important really happens there. Then it comes to planet 3. Since he's a pilot, Bro's the only one who can do a very difficult maneuver to go around a black hole to get to planet 3. Unfortunately, the spaceship is controlled by a pair of Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, so he ends up drifting too close to the black hole, with the only chance for anyone to escape for him to sacrifice himself. Somehow, Bro thugs it out and survives, ending up in Tung Tung God's crib. From here he manages to connect to a Bluetooth hotspot and tell humanity to, science, before blacking out. Decades later he wakes up to find humanity has been saved, and they all live happily ever after. The end. Now chat, I might have missed some key details, but that is the general plot. And it is very good, in fairness. But before we get to the score on the Dux Meter, we've got to talk about a couple other things. First, the soundtrack. This might be the highlight of the whole film. The soundtrack is entirely composed and performed by the best artist ever, Roddy Ricch. Hearing Ballin' as Cooper walks into the distance, or the iconic moment where the box plays as he goes Interstellar, really brings the film up a notch. Now, the visuals. They're pretty decent. Some stuff does look a bit like it's made on the computer, which is a bit disappointing given a lot of other films in the space cinematic universe tend to stick to more practical effects. But all in all, pretty good effort, C-. Almost as good as my camera. The acting in the plot is definitely a highlight, especially towards the end. I mean, you've paid for a whole seat, but by the end, you only need to use the toilet. Because it's like 3 hours long. But now, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, let's plug the film into the Dux Meter and see what score we get. Ooh, got a crisp 95%. I mean, this TS film is definitely Duxerific, and really did surprise me how good it was, and how few people I've heard talking about it. What could it do to earn the last few percent though? It would have been a bit better to have anything shown on how humanity develops so quickly after Bro WhatsApped them the secret formula for everything. Lastly, I don't think there are really enough long, slow dynamic shots of just outer space or nice landscape shots. Some parts of the film feel a bit rushed and could use some slower pacing mixed in. But these are small criticisms, definitely, and the film is more than enjoyable and for sure worth watching. I don't know if you'll find it in cinemas anymore, as it's pretty niche. My cinema only had one showing on a single day, and by the time this video comes out, it may be gone. I'm sure you can find it somewhere though. Now, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe please, and comment for more important films and such to plug into the Dux Meter. I'm sure there's lots more hidden gems out there that could use with a Dux Meter review to get the word out. See you next time, chat. Dux out.